Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Um, we have Dr. Chitturi and Savita from the national team joining us today. Savita has been a NorthSouth volunteer for many years and served NorthSouth in several roles. And she has led the communications team and the geography core team. And recently she joined as the NorthSouth board member as well. Welcome, Savita. I request you to introduce Dr. Chitturi.
Thank you so much, Vinay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the North-South webinar series, where we introduce you to new and interesting topics presented by subject matter experts to enrich and engage your knowledge. Today's topic is titled Knowledge is Power, presented by none other than the founder and past president of NorthSouth Foundation, Dr. Ratnam Chitturi. Since retiring from his presidency in 2020, Dr. Chitturi has immersed himself in learning by enrolling in various classes. Dr. Chitturi has great passion for learning and sharing his wealth of knowledge with all. Today, Dr. Chitturi presents to you Knowledge is Power. Please welcome me and please join me in welcoming Dr. Chitturi. Dr. Chitturi, please.
Thank you, Savita. Good morning on the West Coast. Good afternoon in the East Coast, and good evening in India. If somebody is joining from India, thank you very much, Savita, for the kind words. I would like to thank NorthSouth Foundation for giving me this opportunity to present it to you some of my thoughts, and I would like to thank everyone who joined this meeting, spending your Sunday sometime together. This will be an interactive session. And I would like to thank also the organizers for this presentation. This presentation was helped by Dr. Prasad Kaipa, who is also a board member. I appreciate and I'm grateful to him. And I would like to also thank Dr. Krishnan, who mailed, and Vinay, who has been doing the logistics in arranging this talk, and then Savita Rajiv. Okay, the title of my talk is Knowledge is Power, and we're going to focus today our senses. Our senses play a critical role in acquiring knowledge, and I would like to share some of my random thoughts, and if they resonate with you, if you think they make sense, please let me know. The question that we asked, what does knowledge is power mean to you? We had 600 people who registered for this talk, and about 400 of them, they replied what it meant to them. And we got very rich responses, amazing responses. I was really fascinated with the responses we received. And what I did was to go through 400 responses, text messages. It's time consuming. So I went through this AI, artificial intelligence. There are some tools, and there are some tools that process what they call natural language processing. And so I dumped all the 400 responses into the tool. And first I want to tell you these responses represent kaleidoscope or mosaic. Okay? It's amazing what I learned from the responses. I read all of them. And when I put into the tool, this is the output I got from one of the tools. Amazing. What the tools gives you, the words that people said based on the frequency. Higher the frequency, the larger is the font and what people said. And people said, knowledge is power. Of course, knowledge is a weapon. Knowledge is wisdom. Knowledge can give you better life and make a better world. And people can make informed decisions from knowledge and decision making. And knowledge empowers and gives confidence, clarity, and some said enlightenment, empowerment, and gives you humility, gives you strength, it leads you to success, and etc. There's many, many words. On this screen, I listed 18 words. On the next, this is another toolbox that I put in all the 400 responses and came out these words that you can see on the screen, right? And say people say, with the knowledge you can survive, you can overcome struggles, and knowledge gives you edge. Knowledge is is divine. Knowledge is the driver. It gives you choices. It gives you the ability to overcome obstacles. It can solve many things. It can enrich your life. It gives you fulfillment, enhancement, etc. There are more than 50 words that came through these processing. Sometimes people ask why we send so many emails for these webinars. So I took some data from this particular topic and what we have done. Dr. Krishnan sent the email the first time on September 9th. So what happens? The first time when you send it, people on the first day, you get a lot of responses. In this particular case, on the left, you see on the first day, Thursday, September 9th, 150 people responded. So if they don't respond on the first day, it goes to the bottom of the pile, right? On the right side, I put the pile of papers. It goes to the bottom. The email will never see the light of the day after the first day. And the round 2, and we did that, Dr. Krishnan mailed it on September 17th, on a Friday. So 120 people responded the first day, and the second day, goes into single digits, and third day also single digits, right? Round 3, first day 88, second day 27, and Wednesday, the third day only 5. Right? So the first round we got about 220 responses. The second round 134. They go down, right? And September 20th about 120, and 3 days later 23rd about more than a 50, and so forth. They go down. So you can see we send these emails to 40,000 families, right? 40,000 families. And law of large, what I found through experience, again, this goes to knowledge, is that law of large numbers is important. They work. So we get out of 40,000 families, only 1.5% responded. That's about 600 registrations. 600 registration, 1.5%. Now, when I look at the attendees, about 129 right now, 129. That's about 1/4, not even 1/4, less than 1/4. So that is about 2%, 0.2% attend, 0.2% are the final responses, right? So it tells you, gives you knowledge. Once this knowledge, you can use it how to manage your affairs for NorthSouth Foundation. Right? This is just one example of how we can learn from knowledge. The organization of my talk is has 5 steps. First step is what is knowledge? I will cover that. Then why knowledge is power, and there is a dual nature of power. Finally, fourth point is we'll take COVID-19 as an example, what we can learn from this. And then finally, we'll summarize what are the takeaways from this webinar. There are 2 kinds of knowledge. One is knowledge of the self on the left, and the knowledge of the world on the right. Today, we're going to focus on the knowledge of the world around us. What is knowledge? The Webster Dictionary defines knowledge as knowledge is some of what is known, the body of truth, information, and principles acquired by humankind. And things or objects are perceived through our senses. Without senses, there is no external world to talk about. Right? And the senses give you perceptions. And the perceptions are different from reality. And why perceptions are different from reality? Okay. We all heard about 6 blind men describing an elephant, right? One fellow says it's a wall. Another person says it's a snake. Another person says rope, right? So our sense organs may not give complete or accurate information, even if you're not blind. Even if you're not blind. Senses are limited, and the capability, the capacity of a senses vary from person to person, right? And they form a bell curve. You see the bell curve here, and the right tail gives you towards perfection. That means the sense organ is quite good with very high quality. And the left tail, it has limited capability. And most people, most sense organs fall in the middle, right in the middle. Right? So we need to recognize variations. There are other obstacles for sense perceptions. Not paying full attention, mind wandering, multitasking. As an example, my wife got a new gadget. New gadget is cell phone. So she loves to use the cell phone while she's cooking, right? That's multitasking. Right? We all do that. Right? Distractions, stress, forgetfulness, are our beliefs and past experiences. So these can provide as an obstacles for sense perceptions. Another thing is memory recall decays with time. You know, you get the most the first time, after a day, it goes down, the memory recall, second day or the 7th day. So you may lose as much as 80% in a week, right? So our own experience, beliefs, and biases filter out sense perceptions, and also alternative narratives also change our own perceptions of reality. An example is the Democrats versus Republicans, leading to polarization. And we all heard about the Black Lives Matter. We heard about this January 6th insurrection, Washington, D.C., right? Different narratives, right? Polarization. So the impact of the obstacles are that what we learn from it, perception deviates from reality. And different perceptions and alternative narratives lead to different worldviews, different models. So if there are 7.8 billion people on the earth, more than 7.8 billion worlds, right? More than 7.8 billion models of the world around us, and more than 7.8 billion opinions. There are more than 7.8 billion problems, and also more than 7.8 billion solutions and prescriptions. So only divergence, no convergence, right? Not a surprise. So what are the lessons to be learned from differing realities and different people, of different people? Openness to listen without judgment, and understanding differences, accepting diversity, and adjustment and accommodation, and tolerance to other people, respect others and their worldviews. This requires our deep thinking. This requires our deep thinking. And the benefits are we can find a common ground, we can have nonviolence and peace and harmony. So at the end of the day, I have to admit that I have limitations. My perceptions are limited. My information is not complete. My own experience is limited. So I need to be humble. And I need to be grateful with what I have. And I need to be compassionate to others. Right? This starts not only in an individual, also in a family, parent to child, spouses, between spouses, within the family, community, community, in the office, in a society, in the world, right? It can go up different levels, right? This is very important to learn. So summarizing, what is knowledge? Knowledge is acquired from perceptions which vary from person to person, and there are obstacles during acquisition. Knowledge is incomplete due to its loss over time. Worldviews are formed based on incomplete knowledge. They vary from person to person. Knowledge is used to make decisions. Viveka and wisdom are essential in making the right decisions. Due to varying perceptions and differing worldviews, we need to acknowledge this fact and walk ourselves in other person's shoes and act responsibly. Right? And the benefits of that: nonviolence, harmony, humility, gratitude, open mind, respect, tolerance, acceptance, collaboration, and accommodation. Why knowledge is power? When knowledge is absent, ignorance prevails. So knowledge is the most valuable thing in the world. Everything else in the world, in our lives, power, money, health, things, love, they all can come and go. They can all be taken away from us. Right? There are many examples of that. Afghanistan, Idi Amin in the 1960s, many examples. No one can ever take away your knowledge. And knowledge removes ignorance and fear, gives confidence and courage, provides upward mobility, and sharing knowledge multiplies while wealth divides. Knowledge gives power to solve problems. Knowledge gives power to have control on one's own life. Knowledge gives power to harness nature for getting benefits. Knowledge gives power to discern the right from wrong. Knowledge gives power over people and resources. Ruler has power over the ruled. A father has power over the child. A boss has power over the employee. Right? Knowledge gives power in maintaining peace and harmony in society. Power can be used for common good. It can be used for destruction. So power is a double-edged sword. So we'll take COVID-19 as an example. So the owner of the dog says, "You thought we were tough to train." And the dog in return says, "Even during this COVID pandemic, most humans can understand the words sit and stay." Right? If 7.8 billion people followed sit and stay, COVID-19 would have disappeared in 21 days. Please think about that. In 21 days, it would have disappeared. We had the knowledge, but we did not use its power for common good or self-good. So we had the most devastating impact on the world in 100 years. He's a volunteer from NorthSouth Foundation, Dr. Srinivas Ayagare. He got so frustrated in 2020, he put on the Facebook, stay home dummies. But Montana nursing home turned down COVID-19 testing. As a result, all of the people, most of the residents, got infected. Hundreds of college students participated in block parties in Mississippi, defying orders. Hundreds of people gathered at lake, then many got COVID-19. And protests against mask distancing and other rules. This is in Michigan. Children could not meet their grandmothers. Terrible. In the USA, we had 3 waves last year, 2020. Now we are going through fourth wave. At peak, we had 200,000 people a day getting infected, right? And in India had 1 wave in 2020, and 2020 was worse because the Delta variant, 400,000 people were infected at the peak, April-May period, right? It was a tsunami. What does it all mean? We did not follow the golden rule. What you do not want to wish for yourself, do not do to others, right? Or in India, Indian ethos, we say Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. We violated a simple rule, very simple rule. As a result, we're all suffering. 230 million people got infected. 4.7 million people died. No country was spared. Suffering is everywhere. Fear is everywhere. Economy suffered. 18 months have passed. Children missed schools for more than a year. Vaccine is still in short supply in most countries. In the US, 40% of the people refuse to take a vaccine. While the world is crying to get vaccinated, in the US, we're fighting not to get vaccinated. There is 15 countries that are vaccinated less than 3%. Congo, 0.1%, 0.1%. Syria, 1.7%. Nigeria, 2.2%. Why is that? Because there are complex web of factors. Availability is an issue. Access is an issue. Affordability, big pharma, and their capacity, and their monopoly, and their cultures, Delta variant, WHO, right? Lack of coordination among nations, right? So here, one shopper saying, I thought I did everything right, fully vaccinated. It's one example. Millions of fully vaccinated people need to wear masks because 40% are refusing to get vaccinated. Ironic, right? Here's one man, he sent a text to his fiance. I should have gotten the damn vaccine. And he harmed himself, right? He died, and his fiance, right? And he did not use his power of knowledge wisely. Oh, okay. Here's a wife and a husband. Wife got vaccinated. Husband refused. Right? By refusing, he hurt himself. He hurt his wife. He has no right to hurt his wife. Right? School mask debates in Tennessee grew heated as the local board required masks in elementary school. Amazing, amazing. Here's one guy says, you can live freely, but we'll find you. And we know who you are. You will never be allowed in public again, right? Amazing. Here's a radio station host. A radio station host broadcasting against vaccine. Then he's now suffering from COVID vaccine infection. And how many were fooled, got injured with this false narrative? He's not illiterate, but he used his power of knowledge for destruction. Here is a Texas politician dies of COVID 5 days after posting anti-vaccine meme. Right? People's representative should know better. He used his power of knowledge for destruction. Here is a GOP lawmaker tests positive for COVID-19 a week after joining anti-mask requirement lawsuit. He filed a lawsuit against masks, right? And he caught COVID-19. What is he thinking? God only knows. Here's a congressman, walks out of interview when asked about his vaccine status, right? He's responsible for the public, but he's refusing to talk. Weird. Here's a 88-year-old professor in Georgia, 88 years old professor in Georgia, resigned in the middle of a class because a student refused to wear a mask over her nose. He got upset. He said, that's it. I'm retired. He quit. Here's a Christine Lori, 40 years old, on social media, telling people, right, against masks about a vaccine. Said, unmasked, unmuzzled, unvaccinated, unafraid, together we win. And then she got caught with COVID-19 and died on September 15th. She left 4 children behind. Did she have a right to make her 4 children orphans? She used her power of knowledge for destruction. Amazing, amazing. Recently, some news. In Canada, one man punched a nurse in the face multiple times, knocking her to the ground, right? Because the nurse administered vaccine to his wife without his permission. The wife, he's saying, wife should get his permission to vaccine. So the nurse is getting hit. Right? When they did asked employees, half of the unvaccinated workers said they would rather quit than get a shot of vaccine. Amazing, amazing. Yeah? A soldier, can a soldier say, can he refuse to go into combat? No, he can't. A policeman, can he refuse to attend a crime scene? No, he can't. A firefighter, can he refuse to fight wildfires? He can't. Right? Lawmakers are public service for common good. They cannot abdicate their constitutional responsibility, but some of them are. Right? Public has no right to hurt others, all of us, but we are doing it. So talking about make wrong choices, here Dalai Lama says, man sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is anxious about his future, that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then he dies having never really lived. Right? So we're not using the power of knowledge wisely. Right? So that's the end of my talk, and the takeaways are: perception is different from reality. Different persons have different perceptions and worldviews. We need to have empathy, humility, gratitude. We need to respect, accept, understand, adjust, and tolerate. We need to follow the golden rule: need ethical living and values. Knowledge is power if used wisely. Then we can achieve peace, harmony, nonviolence, and joy. I think at this time we would like to answer.
Yeah.
What I would like to propose, trying to learn, if people are interested in a satsang group, we have discussions on topics like this. The goal is joyful living. You can answer yes or no. Right?
Yeah, Dr. Chitturi, I have launched the poll, so we'll get the answers from the attendees.
Okay.
So Dr. Chitturi, in the beginning, you talked about a tool that you use for the NLP. Somebody was asking, what was that tool? Would you be able to talk a little bit about that tool?
The tool for, you're talking about the sending emails, or the tool about the responses, get into artificial intelligence tool?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a cloud word. I have the links, three links. I can send it through email. We can, at the end of the seminar, I'll send it to Vinay. He will send the links to you. You can go through the links and use it. It's a language processing. It's a language processing. You can put text. All you do is download. You can you can copy and paste into a blank text box, and then you push the button. It will go through the entire text. It will pick up. The amazing thing is, it takes out all the grammar, is, was, a, and all that stuff. It removes all that stuff, commas and all that. Just picks the words, the nouns, adjectives, verbs, and then puts a frequency. Right? The word that has the most frequency, it puts in a larger font. The one that's smaller would be smaller font, right? And then puts it out in a picture form. Amazing. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Chitturi.
So one thing is, so I wanted to, so I forgot to mention that today's session is recorded. So by tomorrow we'll upload it to the YouTube channel that we have. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you see the question panel, Giri has shared the YouTube channel for NorthSouth Foundation. Please subscribe to the channel. See the previous sessions also in the channel. So I think we have 71% who have, sorry, actually there is 69% who have responded to the poll. So maybe we can close the poll now and I can share the results.
So in the meantime, I'm going to present to you a couple of questions that have come in, Dr. Chitturi. You can comment on those. Chowdhury said, knowledge is the result of human innovation. Human innovation, human behavior, lack of knowledge, and lack of beliefs in science limits the power of knowledge. global warming is a classic example of that. And he requests for you to comment on how knowledge is being used for global warming.
I agree with the comment. Knowledge, the global climate change, that's a global warming, is a hot topic, and there are some controversies, but a lot of scientists. I'm for the last 1 year since I retired from NorthSouth Foundation, being in the president, I've been taking courses. And the last 1 year, I took 30 courses, whether you believe it or not. So I go through these are remote learning, and I'm learning more. Amazing, I'm learning physics and the world, and is at 78 lectures. And I took, I learned physics, chemistry, and biology, right? Environment, amazing, you learn. So there's so much to learn. The scientists who has the knowledge of the quantum physics, all the advanced, most advanced knowledge of the science subjects, people are saying, yes, there's a limit. There is a global, on the earth has limits, resources, how we use it. And so we should, but there are some people saying some other way. There are some scientists who are also saying the opposite, right? So what if you're trying to minimize risk, right? Even in the COVID-19 vaccine, there is a controversy, right? So what you do is you you minimize risks. If you want to minimize risks, you take the most conservative action. That is, if you follow, yes, the climate change, global warming is an issue. So let's be conservative. Take the, play the devil's advocate and follow it, right? That is the most prudent action. It's a wise action to do.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Chitturi. And thanks for the insightful presentation and with real world examples. And there is several questions. I think, Savita, I think you are watching the question panel, right? And
Yeah.
since I think after the questions, maybe if there is, Dr. Chitturi wants to take some questions from the audience. If people can raise their hand, then we can try to unmute you and you can ask your questions as well.
Sure.
Savita, go ahead with the next question.
So Rachana shared a very sad experience that she had her child vaccinated, unfortunately had an adverse reaction to the vaccine and passed away. Really sad to hear that, Rachana. What she shares is that she feels guilty that she did not use her power of knowledge to learn more about vaccines before she got vaccinated. This is just an example of how knowledge is powerful to show that, in a COVID situation, every person has the right to live. So using their knowledge, they should have a choice of getting vaccinated or not, especially because her child had an adverse reaction to it.
Thank you for
Ganesh,
asking the question. I'm really sorry that the child's, became ill and passed away. It's really unfortunate. I feel bad about it. But this is the risk we take, right? Unfortunately, life has risks. If you cross the road, there's a risk. When you go in a car, I had an accident 6 years ago, right? And not a fault of my own. And then I went through a serious accident. Amazing. I could have died. God saved me. And so life itself is a risk. Unfortunately, somebody gets caught. All of these things are averages, right? They say even regular flu vaccine. We all take flu vaccine. There are some people die for the flu vaccine, right? And that is so what happens in the science, the statistics, certain percentage, get a bad reaction and do that. So that's an issue. It's a very, very difficult to answer. Every life is important. Every life is important. It's sacred. Every life is sacred. And unfortunately, we have to take the risks. And in the process, we have to, so some of us suffer. And unfortunately, there's no, right, as in, what can I say? We do take risks, and some of us get caught in the risk,
Right.
and we suffer from it. We need to understand that. Knowledge is also understanding it, and then say, yeah, and so that we can live tomorrow. I can understand when the child died, right? The world caved in, right? It's dark, fully dark. But slowly we have to recover, understand it, and move on. You can't move on. Your life has to go on. So we have to move on from day to day, move forward.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Ganesh said there's lots of good examples on how knowledge was used for distraction. What do you think of people that say this is what they say: we do not want someone to dictate on vaccination?
Yes, they can have a different opinion. They can, but they don't have a right to hurt other people, right? In other words, you have a right to have your own opinions, your own, if you stay in your own room, in your own house, you don't move anywhere, then it's fine. But if you're moving outside, rest of the world, when you're interacting with it, you have a responsibility. If we are not independent, you can be independent. In fact, let me put it this way. Nobody in this world is independent. Nobody is independent. We're all interdependent. In a modern civilization, unless you're living in a cave, in a modern civilization, we are interdependent. So in an interdependent world, we have to respect others. We have no right to hurt others. That is important. You have to balance against your own independence, your own right, against the accountability to others.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Chitturi, for the.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Mahesh asks, how do you differentiate between information and knowledge?
Wonderful question. Thank you for asking. Yes. Well, some people, there's a difference of opinion. Some people say information is same as knowledge. Information is okay. One way we can do it, information is data, right? It could be text, it could be image, right? All the video, imagery, everything it can be quantified, put it in a video on a cloud machine, something in a digital form. That is information. Knowledge is experience, right? What you experience, information is needed, and it's needed as input to your mind, your brain, and what you experience is knowledge. Some people differentiate like that, and other people say information is knowledge. There is some debate, right? Difference of opinion, and I think knowledge, experience should be included in knowledge. I think, in my own opinion. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Dr. Chitturi.
I have a question for you, Dr. Chitturi. Growing up,
Okay.
who would you consider to be your role model, who imparted that the whole knowledge is power part of it into your life.
So what is the question? Can you repeat the question again?
So growing up, who would you consider to be your role model, your teacher, your parents, your peers, somebody you work with, who actually started this journey for you in the whole knowledge is power path?
Oh, there are many. I cannot point out any single person. It is a lot of people. And for example, Swami Vivekananda, he had an amazing impact on me, and Mahatma Gandhi, and even Socrates. Socrates, he's the only man in this world that died for truth, right? People don't die for truth. They run away, right? Because your life is important.
Right.
So save life, you move away from truth. And he's one person who, for truth, he gave, people asked him, right? They wanted to save him. They wanted to pay the penalty. They said, sir, we will pay the penalty. You will be out of it, right? They gave several choices, but he stuck with truth. Right? So there are many role models to me, and in fact, children. I learned a lot of children. I learned from parents. So they're all, I gain information from them. What do we need to think? We need to reflect. Now, if you listen carefully, every individual, right, and there's something resonates, right? Why somebody said that, right? Like, for example, I'll give you a very simple example. Dr. Chaudhary, I think earlier asked the question. I hope he doesn't mind me saying it. In 2005, 2004 actually, he cornered me and said, NorthSouth Foundation is doing so much good to parents and children, and we were giving away the value freely. And he said, why don't you raise fees? Raise fees so that you can create a surplus, use the surplus, give more scholarships in India, right? He cornered me and talked to me for 2 minutes. And I kept thinking about it. I kept thinking about it for a long time. And I said, you may be right. Let's experiment, right? Does it work, right? So he's, you get inputs from people, you reflect on it, you use the information in a positive way, wisely, and you achieve, great things. Great things are possible. And thank you for asking. I have a lot of role models. And Professor, yeah, thank you.
There's a related question. What one thing that triggered to start NorthSouth Foundation and why?
Thank you for asking. Okay.
That was from Prasanna.
When I came to this country in 1965, I never wanted to stay in this country. That was not my intent. My intent was to learn knowledge. That is the reason I came. I wanted to achieve the highest degree that I could get. People told me PhD is the highest degree. So I came here to get my master's and then PhD. Then after I got my PhD, by getting PhD, I shooted myself in the foot. Because when I wanted to go back, there were no jobs that could use my PhD work, right? In India, there was no job that they could use operations research in 1967. So there were no opportunities. So I got stuck. I stayed here. So then it kept bothering me, saying, I wanted to go back, but I could never go back, right? So 1986, 88 time period, I was thinking, give back. So the answer to your question is something to give back. Give back Some people say give forward, whatever you call it. So give back was, we're trying to figure out, I was being 10,000 miles away, what can I do? So a simple thing I thought of was to eliminate money as a barrier for higher education. A lot of children, a lot of parents in India say, I'm poor, but my child is number one in the state, number one in the district. Now I cannot afford to send him to, her to college. So we thought eliminating that money as a barrier would be a good thing to do. That was a very small idea, empathy, compassion. We started in a small way, and then rest is history. Rest is history. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sir, go ahead.
So Suresh says we should have more of these sessions, great presentation and rich content in the future to share the wealth of knowledge in different areas. I know you had mentioned, Dr. Chitturi, that if there is continued interest, you wanted to, present it as a series, and I think that is something that people are looking forward to. So we look forward to another series of how you share knowledge and probably picking a different area.
We
Thank
have
you.
we have two people who wanted to ask questions. So Akkaraju Sharma garu, I've unmuted you. If you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you, Chitturu garu. It was an incredible presentation. This is not a question, but I just want to share what inspiration you have been to our whole family. Both our children have competed in your competitions, and also we have thoroughly volunteered. But more than what we gave, I always feel we have benefited with those experiences a lot more through whether we taught in the online classes or conducting the anything. So we feel it's been our privilege to have been part of this. And I just want to share one thing that I used to keep several quotes for my kids to watch on this knowledge. I had one quote, actually, I got this quote from one of the competitions at the Nationals when they were there. That is, knowledge stimulates thoughts. Thoughts trigger dreams, and dreams set the upper limit of what you can be. Stimulate your thoughts by learning more, learn by reading more, interacting with others more, and by introspecting yourself. This has been there on our kids' door. They are grown up and on their own, but every time I see, I feel happy that they grew up with that quote. It's been an honor to know you, and it was an incredible presentation you gave. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. It is mutual. It is mutual. And I also learned myself, right? It's a journey. Our journey is to self-learn, right? Today we talked about the knowledge of the world, right? Knowledge of, there is another one, self-knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is the path I am on. So by learning, by having these conversations, by having these engagements, there are a lot of benefits, right? Mutual benefits. The benefit I gain is to learn myself. Who am I, right?
Yes.
What is my role? So I learned a lot. So please, you should think this is mutual. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. And thank you.
Rajesh Saluja says the main source of confusion in the society today is too much noise coming from social media and all biased news channels. His question is, whom should people trust to build the knowledge? Because there is a lot of confusion, right? So please comment on that, Dr. Chitturi.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that. That is a problem. People are creating alternative narratives, right? And so, unfortunately, it puts a lot of burden on us, each of us. The internet is a free source, free good, right? It was unleashed by United States 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And so what it does is anybody can access, put any stuff, anything, right? And so it comes out, so like social media. So it puts a lot of burden on us. It'll get worse. It will not get better. So we all need to think together, how do we clean up the mess? How do we separate the signal from noise, right? It's not easy. And I think one way we can do it is together, right? Just like we're doing NSF, NorthSouth Families. When we work together, come up with some creative ways to how we clean this. This will become part of science. How do we do that? Protect ourselves, right? And there's no easy solution, but I think it can be done. We should do it. It should be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Dimple Shah, could you please ask your question? You can unmute yourself now.
So several people have asked about the quote that the attendee recently shared with all of us. And I put that on the chat too, that we will send it to you guys in an email when we follow it up with the recording of the webinar and Dr. Chitturi's presentation.
Thank you, Sabda. MS Rao, can you ask your question?
This is MS Rao, Uncle. I know the knowledge since my childhood, listening from various sources, various things. At the time, in the beginning, it was limited information. Today, the information is vast. And we don't know how fast. There are many things coming up and kids learning very fast. The internet is helping quite a bit. And there is a good and there is a negative. So different ways it's going on. But at the end, why the information we are looking at is, one is to resolve the solutions, the possible solutions that we all have it. So here, is there a way that you just discussed all how we can streamline this, how we can be able to help in a better way rather than getting into the negative? That's where we need to work on. You already mentioned that. That's where I was thinking what options we should think about it, how to streamline this to better useful to the society and the humanity.
Thank you, MS, for asking the question. It's an important question that for children, the learning process has to start from childhood, right? I have some ideas. I have an idea to come up with some children videos. Hopefully, if the project comes through, maybe we'll do it to help our children to grow in the right path from the childhood, right? The values and the past or Indian ethos. There's a lot we can learn from our own history, from our own shastras, from our own books, right? They're available. So we need to see, as I said, it will be long to discuss my idea, but hopefully in the over the next year, there will be more clarity. But basically what I'm saying is we have to work with children. This earth belongs to them.
Future.
Right? In India, we say, as parents, we live for our children. If it's true that we live for our children, then we need to nurture them. provide the right path in imparting the knowledge, right? They're getting the proper knowledge so that as they grow, they will have a proper discrimination, proper viveka to differentiate between right and wrong, signal from noise, and it can be done. It can be done. In fact, I like to try it as a pilot. Can we do this? Can we do that? I think it can be done. I'm convinced. And so it's not an easy task, but again, together as a community, as a NorthSouth family or Indian American community in this country, we can do it. We can do it, and it should be done. And the negative side, the adverse impacts of what is going on in the social media, interaction, and so forth, right, can be addressed through proper nurturing, growing the children from childhood. It should start from right from 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old. You have to start from there. You can't do much when they're in high school. When a kid is in high school, you can't change. Can you change? I cannot change. I cannot change myself, right? I cannot change my wife. My wife cannot change me, right? I cannot change my daughter. She cannot change me, right? It's difficult. As we grow older, there's too much baggage, too much biases that we accumulate. So the growing up, we have to start right childhood very early on, really early on. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
So we have room for one more question, Vinay, and then we will wrap up.
Okay. So I think Prasanna had raised his hand. So last question from Prasanna Kalyaparma.
I think it was by mistake. Anyway, this program is very, very useful, and I'm looking forward to have more program like this.
Oh, thank you, Prasanna. And I think the poll results, Dr. Chitturi, I think 71% of them said that they wanted to have more sessions like this and participate in the satsang that you mentioned.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very reassuring that these ideas make sense, and we can work together, make a better world for ourselves and for children, for the next generation.
Great. I mean, there's other people raising hand, but I think that's, do we have one more, time for one more, Savita, or Chaitra, I'm raised.
Sure. We can have one quick one and then.
Okay. Chaitra, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, I think she's dropped her hand. Okay, thank you for a very insightful presentation, Dr. Chitturi, and thank you, Savita, for helping me host this session. Savita, please go ahead.
So as Vinay said, Dr. Chitturi, this has been a very informative session to show how powerful knowledge is. The way you connected the power of knowledge to, how COVID-19 knowledge was used to either protect or destruct has been very revealing. This has definitely been a very engaging webinar, and from all the comments and questions that we have received from the attendees, we see that people are very interested in learning more from you and want to schedule several more knowledge seminars from what we've started today. Before we end, I would like to extend a special thank you to our longtime NorthSouth volunteer, Desi Vijay, who was key in introducing the webinar series, I think last summer of 2020, and this was seminar number 29. We have introduced several topics. Desi has taken a lot of time and effort to reach out to several subject matter experts to bring in very informational seminars. Desi is currently in India. He has not been here for the last couple of them. he had to travel to spend some time with his mother, who we just heard passed away last week. So on behalf of the entire NorthSouth Foundation, our thoughts and prayers are with Desi's family during this tough time. We request all of you to offer a thought and prayer for his family. And I'm sure there are a lot of other NorthSouth family members that have lost somebody or the other during COVID, and it has not been easy. We extend our thoughtful condolences to all of you who have gone through this tough time. Dr. Chitturi, last parting words?
Yeah, I want to acknowledge that many of the participants that I know, I appreciate for you joining this call. I appreciate it very much. And thank you for Savita and Vinay, giving me this opportunity, this platform to share my thoughts. And I would like to thank all the attendees for sparing their time to be with us in this call. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Chitturi. Thank you, Vinay.